Well, I'm taking it to the muffler shop. Clutch is doing okay. Well, it feels a lot different. This thing's pretty solid. Be a good workout for your leg. I think that's over the. It's hard to pull out. And it's loud. So, all right, here we go. All right, so I drove the BMW over to the muffler shop or whatever. He's covered up, so he told me to bring it back in the morning and drop it off. Oh, here's our new shirts. The clutch feels way stiffer, and I'm assuming that's from the removing the dampener or whatever. The muffler shop, that guy was super busy, so I decided, or well, he decided just bring it back tomorrow. He would put the exhaust on or whatever. I'm just gonna run it straight pipe the rest of the way out, and then maybe do a muffler later. I don't have time right now to order a muffler and get one in and all that and wait for it to sit and all that. I just want to put some kind of exhaust on it, and that way I can call it done. I may pull this back in and when my son's here and bleed this clutch a little bit, but it feels okay. At the top, like if I just lay my foot on it, I get a little bit of a tick in it. I can feel it, a vibration, but it's just super hard to push now. But I mean, overall, it lets out. It kind of, you know, like almost a shimmy a little bit when it gets broke in or whatever. I'm sure it won't do that, but I'm not used to it at all. It grabs. When it grabs, it grabs. Yeah, it's in. BMW starting to wrap up. Needs to be clean, pretty serious. And finish the exhaust. When I pull it back in to bleed it, I probably change transmission fluid and oil and everything then. And I still need a radiator on this Jewel, so at some point I'll have to put a radiator on it. But I'm trying to get all this stuff done. The big projects, closing the shop and everything, I want to get all the motors in I can, and transmissions changed, clutch changed, whatever I can as far as large scale. And when it comes to small stuff, radiators and, you know, little stuff, oil change, I can go to an oil change place, just have them change my oil. Worst case BMW, but I doubt I'll do that. I'd put it up on blocks and change it myself. But I think I'll try to change it before I leave here. The machine shop called me, and my motor's done for the IS300. So it's non-VVTi rods with 2 JZ GTE pistons. So that thing, that short block is finished. So I'll get that thing tomorrow picked up and get back here with it, start tearing down that IS300. It's time. So I'll have to move some stuff and clean some stuff and get situated to start working on that project. So we're pretty close. We're pretty close to starting on the IS300, and I'm pretty excited about that one. I think that motor will be something we can turn up, make a little bit of power in. And I do have a fuel pump for this thing. Black Market, I think it's Black Market Products, BMP, Black Market Performance, that might be it. Black Market Performance, I think it is. I do have a dual hanger and everything for the BMW and all that. Again, that's something I can do once I get moved and all that stuff done. Yeah, the clutch is at least done. I want to call it done, but I still want to drive it a little bit, maybe back and forth home a few days while I'm working on the IS300 and get me a game plan, make sure it feels good and all that, then change some fluids, put it back on the lift, give it a once over, check all the bolts, and then I'll call it done. But for now, it's at least mobile, and we've got to do the exhaust and drive it a little bit and then come back and check everything, change some fluids, and then we'll call it done. So, all right, here we go. All right, so you can see the BMW is gone. I dropped it off at the muffler shop this morning. I worked Metzger and Worm and Logan, and Metzger had a kid that he knew come by and help too. We've moved quite a bit of the bigger stuff out of the shop. Also, we picked up my 2J that's been at the machine shop. So this dude's getting ready to start putting the oil pan on it. I'm gonna paint it, I guess. I don't know what color to paint it. There's that dude. It's got 2 JZ GTE pistons and GE non-VVTi rods. This thing should do okay. I was debating on painting it or whatever first, but I may go ahead and put the oil pan on it and then mask all that off, because it'd be easier to mask that off than it will to try to cover all this with it still leaking oil and everything from where it's got assembly lube on it and stuff. So we'll probably go ahead and put the pan on first then. But I've got to figure out the O-ring, the one I had to do last time, and then get my RTV situated and put that pan on. So yeah, that's what I'm working on. All right, here we go. All right, so I'm in the BMW 335. This is going to be a cold start. I have decided I do not like the exhaust at all. Yeah, absolutely hate it. So I'm going to end up buying probably 2 matching mufflers, put them on either side, because this is ridiculous. Not a fan. So yeah, all right, here we go. All right, so I'm on a time crunch here. I've only got a certain amount of time and a certain amount of days to get done all the jobs that I can, because the shop is going to be no more here in, I think, like 40 some odd days. And so I'm not filming a ton. I'm afraid that I'm not going to be able to finish everything I got to get done in the time frame I've got to do it. My main concern really is get everything done I can. And I may build a garage at my house in the spring, and we'll pick back up with that kind of content. But for now, I've got the IS300 motor taken out. It's a mess in there. It's 2 engines blown up back to back, and you know, I didn't clean it in between them. But I've got this thing out. I'm going to start disassembling it, start trying to get, I'll probably bring my pressure washer tomorrow and probably clean that engine bay and clean this motor off and start breaking it down and putting parts, getting parts ready to put on this other motor here. I'm waiting on the oil pump and water pump to be able to put the bottom half of the motor on. Once I get that done, I can roll it over and then start putting accessories off of this onto that. So it's kind of where I'm at with everything. I'm at the mercy of the time of getting this thing finished and another project finished and all that. So I'll film what I can. If I can't, it is what it is. But I've got to get some progress done and got to get some stuff moved out of this shop. So yeah. All right, here we go. All right, well, I've got her disassembled quite a ways, and this is actually one of the cleanest used motors I've ever seen. I don't know if you can see, you can't tell for the light. I'll put some light on it here in a second, but this is absolutely one of the cleanest used motors I have ever seen, internal wise. But that piston is broke, the rod's broke, there's a hole in the motor. Yeah, I'll put some light on this thing and we'll take a better look at it, but I've got it disassembled down. You can see all the parts scattered. I'll bring my pressure washer tomorrow and I'll clean this motor up, start getting ready to paint it, clean up all the bracketry and all the manifold and all that stuff to get it ready to start putting on this. I've got to put the head on, get it torqued, get the cams in it. I think I'm just gonna run stock cams. And yeah, so that'll probably be the goal tomorrow. But yeah, I gotta go through this wiring harness. It's a little janky. It was the last time. They've extended stuff. I don't know what all was on it or whatever. I have to take a closer look at it, make sure I don't have any plugs that are bad. I know the number 1 and whatever coil, the plug pulled out, so I'll have to figure out which way it goes, or I'll have a mess in it. So that's something I'll have to watch for. Besides that, everything else is pretty clean. Besides just, grease and stuff. It's not broken, stripped, busted, cracked. Everything else looks pretty good. Just besides the wiring harness, and all of it needs to be clean. So I'll try to bring my pressure washer and remedy that, but I'm gonna figure out get this crank pulley off, because I need the bolts to the water pump and oil pump off of this motor. With having this motor, I don't have any of the hardware. I don't know where it's all at, so I've got to rob any of the hardware off of this motor, which I've got it piled for wherever I've got it. I have to get this pulley off and rob the bolts and stuff. But once I get that painted, I can start putting that together, and it'll go together pretty quick. I'll probably take my pressure washer and clean that engine bay, even though it's in the shop, and without having to move it and all that. It's just gonna get wet. It'll dry in a day or so. But I got to get all this stuff halfway clean, because it's pretty nasty, and it will smoke like a freight train if I don't get some of this oil off of it. So, all right, I guess that's goal for tomorrow. We're gonna call it a day. All right, here we go. All right, I got a little bit of light on these cylinders to see. Look at these things. I mean, that thing, I can't turn it. Let me try to turn this thing. Nope, it's locked up already. Yeah. I was gonna try to turn it a little bit, but it's completely locked up in that cylinder. But those things look brand new. I don't know what this come out of. I don't remember out of one of the IS300s that I had, but I mean, this thing is clean. Well, I mean, it's broke. But before that, this motor looks almost new. I'm really surprised how clean this motor actually is. Oh well. It's useless now. It did bend. I looked at the head. It did bend. Look over here and take a look. All right, so there's a spot right here. It dinged that head. There's a lip right there. You can catch your lip. All four of them valves are bent, but everything else looks good, I think. I mean, this head looks great. That lip will have to be filed down and them four valves replaced. So, all right, besides that, we've got another good head, and this head will go on the other GE non-VVTi one over there on the ground. So we'll be able to put that one together and maybe have that put in my son's car before we get out of this place, before we get down here. Maybe, we'll see. But yeah, that's where I'm at with it. Gotta take it one day at a time. I know I'm missing parts, and my brain scrambled all over the place trying to move here. I did order some gaskets today. I got the oil pump, water pump coming. I think I got a head gasket. I'll have to look and see. Once I pull that crank pulley off, I may put it on, and may even use the crank sensor. I'll look at it, make sure it's clean or good, or if it's not jacked up or anything. I may go ahead and use it. Nah, I may go ahead and replace it. I don't know. There's so much going on. I just gotta figure it all out and make some decisions here, because once I put it in, I don't want it to have failure or anything. This motor's good for quite a bit of horsepower. Should be. The non-VVTi bottom end, the rods and stuff, it's all new bearings. It's been to the machine shop. Everything's balanced. The flywheel and the clutch is balanced. All that's balanced to it. Yeah, so I mean, it's going to be just miscellaneous things, rear seal, the gasket pretty much, and getting the shims on the head right. I don't know anything about that. I'll have to figure that out as I go. Yeah, it's going to be a learning experience. So that's where I'm at. I'll start putting it together the next couple days, and I'm sure I'll run into needing something. So anyway, all right, here we go.
I'm feeling high.